Chairman. 7.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Selectmen's meeting of Tuesday, March 19, 2019. Please all stand and rise, and our Veterans Agent, Vinnie Fontaine, will lead us along with the veterans in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment as we honor the memory of Robert Dunn, who was a principal at the Eston School for years. His daughter-in-law, Jean Dunn, was on the school committee, and his son, Robert Dunn, is an old pal from the glory days. So we just want to give a moment of respect. Thank you. Please be advised that this open meeting is being broadcast live and recorded by WRPS for playback on Comcast Channel 14 and Verizon Channel 31. It will also be available for online video on demand viewing at WRPSRockland.com within 24 hours of its conclusion, as are other recently recorded meeting and community events. Please go to WRPSRockland.com for further information. On the community announcements, we have a top dog contest winner. Is our town clerk here?
She is not, but I'm here in her office.
Well, you are in the clerk's office, are you not?
I am. Yes. So for those of you who don't
Liz, microphone.
Right up over there.
Let everybody know. Let everybody know who you are.
for those of you who don't know me, I'm Liza. I work with Donna Shortall in the town clerk's office. And Donna has implemented a town top dog contest, and this is our third year. And this year's winner, after 2 months of voting, we had 38 dogs enter the contest. And after 2 months of voting, I would like to announce that Zoe has won the top dog for this year, Zoe Nurse. And she came, probably 3 times a week to greet us and to vote for herself in campaign. And she did a great job, and she's our winner for this year. And I have an award and a calendar for her owner.
I'll bring her right up here.
It's presented to Zoe, first place winner of the Top Dog Contest of 2019.
There you go.
And a calendar, 12 dogs, 1 dog every month. They each get in their respective month, they get their tag. So Zoe has tag number 1 for this year.
Oh, nice.
As the winner of the top dog. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Okay, the next on the agenda will be the open minutes of March 5th, 2019.
I make a motion to approve the open session minutes of March 5th, 2019.
Second.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? That's a vote. And now the next is the open session minutes of March 12th, 2019.
They're reading. So, I wasn't here, so I can't make the motion. So I think they might be reading still.
No, I'll make the motion. I was deferring to you. You usually have motion, guys.
So was I, yeah. I'll second that.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Where was Mike? No. All in favor? With 1 abstention. 4-0 and 1 abstention. The next we have is executive session minutes of March 5th, 2019.
Make a motion to approve, but not to be released until all the matters are settled.
Second.
Don't make fun of all.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? That's a vote. And the executive session minutes of March 12, 2019.
Make a motion to approve, not to be released until all matters are settled.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? That's a vote. With 1 abstention. Number 3, healthcare update. Jack Nicholas. Get him straight, Jack.
I'll try. Some handouts here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Jack Nicholas. I'm the president of KD Consulting Group. We were hired by the town approximately 3 years ago to take a look at the the whole benefits package, everything that's being given to the employees. In reviewing that, at the time the town was with the Mayflower Healthcare Group, which is a regional or local joint purchasing arrangement of municipalities and public sector groups. What we did was we did a study. We went back a few years looking at the claims experience for the town of Rockland and made the determination that it would be in the town's favor to move away from the JPA and give it a go on its own and possibly even with other municipal entities. At the time, the water department also joined, so you ended up with a small JPA, but you did put that together. At that time, we had done some studies with regards to how much the town would save. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit off of this document that I passed out and just give you an idea of what happens when you're a self-funded group, because we're going to be talking about that later as well. When you're a self-funded group, you're basically like an insurance company. You set your own rates. It's not like your homeowner's policy that comes in and it says it's $1,000 and that's what the premium is. What happens is someone like myself or the insurance company gives you what's called working rates. These are a best guess at what your costs are going to be, your administrative costs, any reinsurance or stop-loss costs, claims costs, and they're all bundled together. When those guesses are made, there's much discussion that ensues, I would say, especially when it's a process where multiple parties are involved. Rich, for example, might like the rates that I present. Mike might say they're too high. Kara might say they're too low. And by the time we're done with it, you might not agree with me, and I don't have the final say, you do. So, for example, the consultant for any purchasing group might recommend a rate of $2,000 for a family, but the board might only approve $1,950, which might fund it correctly or it might underfund it. So that's the plus or the minus that goes into it. So when the rates are set, they're nothing more than a best guess, and that's important to understand. So that when I analyzed the town, I'll go back to the sheet, when I analyzed it, it looked to me like if the town went self-funded, the savings would have been in excess of $1 million. At the time, the rates that we thought that the municipal health group was going to put in showed a savings of about $800,000 and change if you went with a premium plan. It actually ended up being, if you look in fiscal year 18, the actual savings ended up being $434,690 if you just follow that column all the way down right in front of the highlighted number of 1.7 million right above it. That was the total savings in year one, was $434,000. That was made up of an actual charge premium difference from the Mayflower Group and a difference in co-pays. So the town elected, rather than having to go into any bargaining and the like, because it was a good move with the Insurance Advisory Committee, to keep the old plan design. The differential, according to Blue Cross and their underwriters, was 3.8%. That's worth about $307,000. So you can't really compare apples to apples when you look at the benchmark Mayflower plan as it stands today versus the town's HMO Blue plan as it stands today. There is exactly 3.8% in copay differentials. So if they lined up, that would be the savings. So in year one, the savings was $434,000. Last year, the group renewed with Blue Cross with no rate increase. Meanwhile, Mayflower increased their rates. So you'll see in FY19, in the second FY19 column, you follow down, and you'll have a savings over the premium rates in Mayflower of just under $500,000, $497,781, and the $307,000 difference in copays for a total of $805,000. The reason that number stayed the same is because your premium stayed the same. All right, so it stayed the same. The differential, that 3.8%, is 3.8% of your total premium. Since there was no increase, the number stayed the same. So this is the year that we're currently in, FY19. We're in the process, and this is the only benchmark I can really give you, is because what were you doing and what would you have done had you stayed the course? You're in the process of saving $805,000 over what you would have done had you just stayed the course. So it's looking like a pretty good decision. I'm glad about that. You know, professionally, when you make these recommendations, you do the best you can. you know, your crystal ball sometimes can be cloudy. You're not always going to nail it. And the numbers, you can't really look at them until after it's all said and done to see whether or not, you know, you made the right call. With fiscal year 20 coming up, Blue Cross is proposing and has presented us with a 5.6% increase. We reviewed it, went back to them. They believed that they had presented the best, and their first rates were their best rates, and there was no room for negotiation. So they are offering to renew your Blue Cross plan with no changes in the benefits, with a 5.6% increase. So we also just received the information on what Mayflower had voted on. So once again, I'm looking at their FY20. Our premiums will come in about $173,000 lower, plus the 3.8%, which is $324,000 of copay differentials, for a total of $498. Over the 3-year period ending July 1st, 2020, next July, you're looking at $1.7 million, $1,738,000 in savings. So all said, it was a good move. What I would prefer to have, though, for the town is, and I had brought this up, you know, last year and the year before, was to have the town, I don't know if it would be and I'm a former FinCom chair, so I should know these things, but I can't remember, it was over a decade ago, should have, whether it's a revolving account or some type of fund set up where you can start to accumulate monies. You would need approximately $2.2 million set aside, 3 months worth of claims and admin. I know that's a large sum, and it's not going to happen in the next week.
I mean, we've got a stabilization account in town that's at 1.8 million, and we've been funding that for 6 years.
Yeah, and the stabilization account's the big one, right? I know, and you don't want to attach it. This is not a capital item, so it wouldn't fall under that purview.
So it is a tall task. I mean, is it impossible? No, but I mean, if we get started now, I don't know what point we'll be at that 2.2 million. At that point, is 2.2 even still the number?
Right.
Probably ends up being greater than that.
Yeah.
You know, because it's going to take a
We'll
number of
always be
years to do
chasing
that.
it. Yeah.
The reason I like it as an option.
Sure.
Because you really don't have a lot to say to the insurance companies if you don't believe their numbers, other than to say, we'll take it on ourselves and we'll cap our risk.
Yeah.
So what happens is you usually carve out a good 4 or 5 points. The other thing that we have a problem with on the municipal side is that we're all faced with these July 1 deadlines and these budgets that we try to set. We've got town meeting coming up in, 5 weeks, or, you know, it's right around the corner. So we try to get these rates released early. Well, what the insurance companies do is they put in a trend calculation, and they trend it to the midpoint of the following policy year, which means they're trending the claims experience to January 1, 2020. And by doing that, you can go back to like grade school when you were taught about the magic of compound interest. That was when it worked in your favor. This is where it works against you, because that trend factor is the increases in drugs, utilization, MRI costs, technology, all that wrapped in, taxes and so forth and so on. It's all trended forward. What we try to do in the private sector is we try to time the renewals somewhere in the 90, 75 day prior to the anniversary date, which June 1, May 1, April 1st. So we wouldn't have gotten these rates for a little while at the earliest till April. And that, it puts a strain, because there's a lot of people involved, the selectmen, finance committee, town administrator, you know, insurance advisory committee. It puts a strain on trying to pull the whole process together. But the earlier you go out and get the rates, the more trend is compounded into them. And what happens is underwriters are guessing. So in this case, what really drove the, and let me grab my notes right here. What really drove the rates this year were the large losses. And although there aren't any names on this, I'd rather not even share it with the selectmen. I don't want to compromise you with regards to, there's no protected health information on here. You have a group of 400, but this identifies whether they're active or spouses or employees, so it probably gets into a little bit too deep for your purposes. But you've got a $270,000 claim, a 217, a 147, a few hundreds, a 95. You've got some osteo claims in the 50 and 70 range, sepsis for a couple of $100,000, disc issue for $117,000, an ongoing condition for $163,000. There are $2.2 million worth of claims. Most of them, all but one, is active, meaning the employee, spouse, family is still in the group. The claims are still happening. And this is where Blue Cross is concerned about the ramification of these particular claims. And that was the primary driver, that and prescription drug trends. I can give you a little bit more history, too, some of the things that have happened. So in year one, when we made the changeover, we increased all the life insurance amounts for all the town employees. I think that, you know, overall, the satisfaction level with the benefits has been very high. People are very satisfied. We sole sourced. If you remember, under the Mayflower program, there was Harvard and Blue Cross side by side. They were pretty much offering the same plans. It really didn't make a lot of sense. That developed over time of taking other groups, I'm sure, into that JPA. That's how they ended up with all these similar plan designs. Like I said, really doesn't make sense from an administrative standpoint, delivering benefits, communicating to your employees. So simplifying things was important. Last year, with the renewal being flat with no increase, we were able to roll out flexible spending accounts for all the employees at no cost. It's typically about $5 per employee, about $2.50 per account for the medical savings account and the child care reimbursement account. The child care reimbursement account, in case anybody doesn't know, is a way to save money on a pre-tax basis for your child's education, daycare, camp sometimes comes under that. So there's a lot of things you can use that child care reimbursement expense for. It's a great benefit from a tax advantage perspective. The same with the medical for somebody that wants to buy glasses or adult braces or, you know, anything along those lines. It's a great option for employees. So we got those at no cost. We negotiated that, saved the employees, you know, a couple thousand, $24,000 worth of benefits. That was a really good one. At the same time, we also consolidated all the voluntary offerings. If memory serves me correct, there were 4 or 5 different companies in here selling voluntary benefits, whether it was Aflac, Colonial, Boston Mutual, I don't know, you can name them, right? It was very confusing from an HR standpoint, people coming up to you, extra paperwork, and the plans were all very similar. So in awarding one company the contract, we were able to get a benefit administration software package valued at about $65,000. The Ben admin package isn't perfect. I'm not going to fool anybody, but software typically isn't. It's never designed specifically for you, and even if it is, they have to go back and change it again and again and rewrite the code and programs. I give a lot of kudos to your internal staff for how they worked through it, whether it was HR, schools, everybody, accounting, you know, trying to pull it all together to make the package work as well as it could. But it's now a centralized source. Before, your data was in a lot of different locations in a lot of different places. So if we wanted to go out and seek a life insurance quote for the employees, it was very, very hard to pull all this together. Now it's, you know, just a quick snap. You know, the concept was one platform where somebody, and a new employee could come on and, you know, have it right in front of them and pick and choose from what benefits they want. So we're getting there. We're making great strides. Once again, negotiated at no cost to the community. This year, with the Blue Cross renewal, we're going to be rolling out a wellness program. This wellness program's, I've seen a lot of them. They get pitched to me constantly over the last 30 years, more in the last decade. But this one's very, very good. It offers up to $160,000 worth of cash benefits to your employees. You have approximately 400 employees on this plan, and it's $400 per person for completing certain tasks, such as I need to lose 10 pounds, and you go online and you put that down as your goal, and maybe it's, you know, £1 a month. And there's a lot of self-reporting. There's the opportunity to qualify for a Fitbit-like device. All this at no cost. The employee can either take the $100 per quarter in cash, they can donate it. You know, I mentioned to one of the employees in town, I said, you could form a team, you know, sponsor a youth group or something, you know, and meet these goals and make a nice donation, or you could take the cash. I mean, you know, it's there for a lot of different purposes. It can be provided as a team building skill. It's promoting wellness, which reduces absenteeism, hopefully lowers claims over the long term, improves employee morale. Lots of good things here. So we're pretty excited about the stuff that's gone on. That's pretty much the gist of it. I'd like to take any questions that I could answer.
So outside of setting up the healthcare account, what steps can be taken to potentially lower that rate now? What kind of negotiations?
You know,
strategy might
when
you-
when I met with the Insurance Advisory Committee, I talked about plan design.
Yeah.
So, you know, that I'm sure won't happen for July 1, but it's something that needs to be taken under consideration and looked at over the long term. I'm looking at the current composition of the group and seeing if there's any other types of financial arrangements I can set up within this JPA to make it a little bit more attractive. But that's just in progress right now. There's nothing I can really comment on with regards to it. This is for the municipal sector. This is a good group and it has a good 3-year track record right now.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
So
track
there's
record,
not
and
there's
it's
not a
less than
lot
2%.
there's not a lot I can jump on.
Right.
It's easy to say up co-pays or make changes, but that has a ramification and impact all across the board.
You and I talked a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, and to that point, you mentioned over the 3-year trend, at 5.6, we're under 2% per year. It's just, I think it's a tough pill to swallow going from 0% to 5.6.
Yeah,
what I mean? And I understand everything, all the formulas that go into it. You and I talked about that.
Right.
And, I guess I'm just asking, and you've kind of answered it to a point that if there's anything that can be done,
Yeah.
to get that lower, it'd be great.
It's even less if you think about the fact that it was a
And compared to
$500,000
Mayflower-
Those cost
savings in
savings
year
up
one.
front.
It was probably a
Yeah.
negative
Yeah.
4% in year
And
one,
I think
then a
Mayflower-
0, and then a 5 point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think Mayflower was, 9.4% over the same time period.
Okay.
Over the 3 years. Was it 12%? So, okay,
Yeah.
even higher than my last numbers. So,
Well, rather than do the percentages, I went and
You got
dug
the
into the
dollars.
exact
Dollars.
numbers
I know.
for you so you could get an apples to apples comparison. I don't have any crystal balls per se. We try to be as creative as we can. I would think that if claims continue, they seem to be continuing on a decent path. If these large losses don't blow up into large claims and you have good history next year, you would probably be in a good position to take a good look at the marketplace. I would recommend that next year. One of the things we had talked about when we switched over to Blue Cross was that we're not marrying the carrier. There's a lot of good insurance companies in Massachusetts ranked within the top 10 in the United States. So, whether it's a Always or a Tufts or a Harvard Pilgrim, they're all right at the top. Fallon's excellent. It's just not necessarily focused in this market as much, but it's a statewide plan. You also have the commercial carriers to take a look at. So there are definitely other options out there if we don't feel that the renewal next year is in good shape. But all said, our experience here has been very positive. I'm glad Blue Cross, ponied up the $160,000 in wellness benefits. That's a big number right there. And administration, I'd say over the last few years it's starting to calm down. We haven't made as many. We've had a lot of big changes here in the last 3. Well, it hasn't even been 3 years. It's really been a year and
Less than-
a year and
less than 2
2/3
years,
that we're into this. I'm projecting out to the end of next July. So in that year and 2/3, 20 months or so, there's been a lot go on.
Anybody else?
So claims this year versus the prior year on the larger claims, have you seen that increase, those big
Yeah.
dollar ones?
Yeah, we didn't. Last year when we did the renewal, we really only had about 6 months worth of data because it was that July to that December.
That you were doing, right, so you didn't
So
have
we
the-
had 6 months worth of data. So what Blue Cross did was they pulled our data from our prior
Previous.
stay at the municipal health group, and that was a big bone of contention. But I understand they didn't have enough background information to trend out correctly and predict with any certainty what was going to happen. So we really didn't have much for shock claims or large claims at that juncture.
Gotcha.
They started to develop over time, and So we're starting to see a greater incidence on that. And if we look at the greater macro trends in the marketplace, we're seeing more and more million-dollar claims. I mean, we really didn't see them that often, but we're starting to see them. Hopefully we don't have any here for the health and welfare of all the employees.
How does the age average affect it all? I mean, every year the average age of the people in town goes up a year, right? So now instead of the average age being 50, now it's 51. Does that play into the rates?
Well, that's absolutely a factor, and there's no doubt that the longevity does play into it. And the municipal business throughout the Commonwealth has a higher average age than the private sector, as a general rule. So you are looking at some adverse selection there. There's no doubt.
Anybody else?
The only thing I just want to mention is, I think a few years ago I made a few of my concerns pretty clear, but I mean, like Jack and I were talking like before the meeting, and I've been just very pleasantly surprised and really thankful for everything you've been doing, Jack.
Oh, thank you.
And,
Well, like I said, some good fortune in there too. You know, yeah, some good planning,
Yep.
but some good fortune. We could easily be seeing things, you know, heading in the opposite direction. But this group has trended well. It really has. I'm fairly confident about the next year as well. You know, if you look at it, and you don't want to hear this, but you know it. If your insurance rates went up 20% this year, they probably go down 7% next year. You know, if your insurance rates go down 7% this year, they'll probably go up 20% next year. You know, because it's really what they're doing is they're measuring the premium dollars collected against the claims, along with their administration and their projection forward. So, you know, I'm hopeful that with this increase, which I think's a little higher than where it should be, I can understand the rationale behind it, but I might have had personally a little sharper pencil. And accepting this increase should put you in good stead for next year. That's my prediction, my crystal ball that I hold way out here that I'm trying
Crystal ball you
to
don't
work
have,
with.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll get into year 4, and I'll be able to, you know, pull this out another year and take a look at it and see how we've done. On page 2, that was Exhibit A on the first one. Exhibit B on page 2 is the actual
The Mayflower.
premium if we'd stayed under the Mayflower group, correct. So that page 2 is pulled into page 1 for calculation purposes. But please, I think most of you have my number. If you don't, Marcy will give it to you. You know, please feel free to call me anytime with any questions you might have. I'm more than happy to answer it. I haven't sat in the selectman's chair, but in the FinCom chair, I know it's nice to have people that you trust and you feel you can ask anything of. So I'm
Thank you
available.
very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Thank
Jack.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, next on the agenda is to open the special town meeting warrant. It'll close on April 1st, 2019 at 11 a.m. All articles submitted must have a brief emergency explanation attached to it.
So I'll make a motion to open the special town meeting warrant, scheduled for Monday, May 6, 2019, to close on April 1st, 2019, at 11 a.m. All articles must have a brief emergency explanation.
Second.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Mr. O'Loughlin's looking concerned.
No, I'm just, those dates just threw me off for a second.
Okay. I'm just
looks
double
bad.
What,
checking.
good
that
now.
was, that was
There
April
you go.
Fool's Day, or what?
It is April Fool's Day.
All right.
I got you.
Next, we have a Purple Heart Declaration. Annually, it's August 7th, and I'm going to read a military order of the Purple Heart, Town of Rockland, Massachusetts, proclamation, Purple Heart Community. Whereas the people of Rockland, Massachusetts have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the citizens of our community who have selflessly served in the armed forces, that it has been vital in maintaining the freedom and the way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas citizens of our community have been killed in action while serving in the armed forces and have posthumously awarded the Purple Heart for their ultimate sacrifice, and whereas citizens of our community have been awarded the Purple Heart for their bodily sacrifice of being wounded by the hand of the enemy while engaged in combat. And whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration and was created as the badge of military merit, made of purple cloth in the shape of a heart and the word merit sewn upon it, August 7, 1782, in Newburgh, New York, by General George Washington, then reestablished as the Purple Heart on February 22, 1932, by General Douglas MacArthur. And whereas the heritage it represents is sacred to those who know the price paid to wear the Purple Heart, and whereas August 7th is nationally recognized as Purple Heart Day, and now, therefore, it be claimed, we, the Rockland Board of Selectmen, hereby proclaim Rockland, Massachusetts, a Purple Heart community, honoring the service and sacrifice of those from our community who were awarded the Purple Heart while serving in our nation's wars. And also be it proclaimed, the Rockland, Massachusetts will recognize August 7th annually as Purple Heart Day and urge our citizens and organizations to display the American flag as well as other public expressions of recognition for our Purple Heart recipients. And that's signed by the Board of Selectmen to a T. Vinny.
Vinny Fontaine, Veterans Agent. First, the veterans in town would like to thank the selectmen for allowing us to become a Purple Heart community. And we are fortunate tonight to have two Purple Heart recipients. We have John Beadle, who is a two-time Purple Heart recipient, and we have Wally Quackenbush, who's a four-time awarded Purple Heart recipient.
You can sit there if you need to. You know, thank you very much for your service, both of you.
I also like to thank the Rockland Veterans Council. They purchased all the signs.
It's nice not to have to cost the town any money.
There you go. It is always a good thing.
And we are represented tonight by each of the veterans organizations, the DAV, we have the VFW, the American Legion. So I'd like to thank the gentleman for coming out tonight.
John Bourne is the commander of the DAV.
DAV.
John Beadle.
Nice job, John.
And all multiple members of all groups. We also have Brian Martin with us as a past state commander for the VFW.
I'd like to thank all of you for your duty and your sacrifice. Anybody who served in the military, who had to go off and fight any kind of war, knows that war is not a pretty thing, but you do what you have to do in order to get home again. And I'm glad you guys all made it, and respect those men and women who did not. Anybody else wish to?
Just want to say thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Come right up here. Oh, yeah.
Come on up there. Gary, you want to hold it in the front? Oh, I think Gary could over there because she's sort of. Gary goes right in front of the sign. What is that?
You get everyone?
Of course I can.
Hey, he's an expert.
I'm a semi-professional.
There you go.
All right, hold on. Let's do a couple just to make sure we get it. Okay, ready? And one more. All right. Great.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. I know this guy. Quackenbush, of course I do. I know everybody. You know?
Thanks for not making us spend money. Thank you, sir. Thank you for service.
Thank you. I'm actually a disabled vet. Never took the time though. It's tough to do everything. Jeff? I didn't call you Warren this time.
Sure, thank you. Thank you.
How's everything going? Good? Beautiful. I see you all the time walking the dog. All right. Where am I? How'd I get here? Let's see.
I know. You want want to say just so we have an audience?
Well, that'll clear a room, huh?
I guess so.
That'll
Good
clear
for
a
our
room.
community, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Vinny.
Thanks, Vince. Yeah, don't forget to sign.
Number 6 on our agenda is to review the town meeting articles. And we just received a little list of package of them, if you will. And we are going to sit down and read them all and make our decisions, and then we'll discuss it at the next meeting.
Did you have something, Marcy?
Yes, so Mr. Chairman and Board of Selectmen, as you know, the annual town meeting closed last Friday at 11 a.m., and the proposed warrant has 87 articles listed on it that request in excess of $4 million in funding at this time. In concert with that, Eric Kinshirf, the interim town accountant, was working hard to get the free cash certified. It was certified also last Friday in the amount of $2.4 million. However, we need to take into account the snow and ice deficit, which will probably be about $600,000. So we'll probably have about $1.8 to $2 million in free cash, which is typically what we use to fund many of our warrant articles. So I want to thank Eric for all of his hard work certifying the free cash and all of the accounting staff that helped put together the warrant so efficiently. And you do have a summary, as Mr. Ryan just mentioned in your book, that Serena has been helping me put together. It's my recommendation, along with Chairman Ryan's, that you take some time to review the articles, and then we pursue this again at an April meeting when you have the new interim town administrator here to pick up. We've gotten to the point of closing the warrant and putting the package together, and now it's time for the new interim town administrator to work with the Finance Committee and Selectman O'Loughlin, who's the FinCom liaison, to prioritize and fund the articles. That works for you all?
It does. Town administrators report.
I do have a report tonight.
You do?
So, as you know, this is my last meeting where I'm your interim town administrator for the Board of Selectmen. I'm not going to look at Mr. Mullen because I'm going to get emotional here.
They always say that about me.
So I wrote a little statement because I wanted to be prepared and make sure that you know how much I've appreciated this opportunity. So I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen for the opportunity to serve as the interim town administrator for the past 8 months, and for the opportunity to work for the town for the past 4 years managing the board's projects. I've appreciated your support, and I've grown professionally, and I've learned quite a lot that I'll take away and add to my resume. I'd also like to thank the department heads and the staff who I've had the privilege of working with daily, and the Rockland residents for the opportunity to serve the town. I'd especially like to thank Susan Ide, who has worked tirelessly beside me in the front office for the past 8 months, and before that supported me on many of my projects. I've made many friends during my time in Rockland who I will greatly miss. I'm excited to move to Vermont, but it is a bittersweet decision to leave the town. See, now I'll get emotional. I'm not looking at Mike. I did want to say that I do see the role of the interim town administrator as an important opportunity to represent and serve the town and its residents with compassion, integrity, and professionalism. And I hope that whoever comes on board permanently to take this role will really take that seriously. Rockland is, excuse me, I've been a little bit sick. Rockland is an amazing and caring community, and I believe the town has a bright future. The recent season's been difficult and challenging for all of us. However, I also think it's been a catalyst for positive change. I believe wholeheartedly that the current board has the best interest of the town at heart, and I'm going to encourage us all to move forward together as a team, treating each other the way we would like to be treated, behaving courteously to each other as elected officials, department heads, union and non-union employees. We're all one team. I would really encourage the residents to support the town by communicating directly with the board rather than through especially negative posts that we've seen on social media, which I don't know that some of the residents realize are as detrimental as they are, and I know that you all would like to hear from them directly. I would really urge the residents, most of all, to consider volunteering. We have an incredible pool of small, dedicated pool of volunteers, including one who's sitting in the audience with us tonight, Pat Foley, who has served alongside me on many of my projects with grace and dignity. The town is only as good as its elected officials, staff members, and the volunteers. So I would really encourage residents who have questions and concerns to come out and get involved and be part of the solution. So in closing, as you all know, the search for the new town administrator is well underway. It's being managed by the excellent steering committee that you all chose, and hopefully the new TA will be in place by early summer. But meanwhile, the board has appointed Mr. Jim Purcell to the role of interim town administrator, and he'll start here tomorrow with me. So I'd also encourage any residents and staff to come in and meet him. He's a highly qualified retired TA who has successfully served as an interim in many towns. So I know you'll all be in good hands with Mr. Purcell, and I hope everyone will help to welcome him aboard. So I just want to thank you all so much for, it hasn't been a boring 8 months together, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Now I'm going to read this into the record, just for the town's benefit. On March 15, 2019, to the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Rockland, 242 Union Street, Rockland, Massachusetts. Dear Chairman Ryan, please accept with regret my resignation from the appointment of the Town of Rockland, effective on Friday, March 22nd, 2019. I appreciate the opportunity to have served the town and all of the board's support. As previously discussed, I would happy to return at a future date with the help of the turnover of the incoming assistant town administrator or town administrator. All the best, signed Marcy Birmingham of Lake Dunmore Road, P.O. Box 45, Salisbury, Vermont.
Moving to the sticks.
I love it. Marcy, speaking from the board, and I know speaking from most of the town hall and the residents of the town of Rockland, you're one of the best things that's ever happened to Rockland. We all love you, and we're going to miss you. You did a great job, and you know something, you'll always be successful in life because you are just that type of person who takes the bull by the horns, and though every time you get gored, you make sure to cheer here and there, you certainly have stood up to the job. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all you've done.
Well, it has truly been a pleasure, and to get to know each of you personally, I've really enjoyed that and consider you all to be true friends. So please come visit us at the lake in Vermont. I really would love to see you come up to the lake for a visit. And I know that Rockland has bright things in front of us. We've weathered the storm and we've come out stronger on the other side.
Right.
And it isn't me, it's the whole team. You have great employees. Really, we do. We have wonderful staff that want to serve the town well.
Thank you so much, Marcy. We could go on forever here, but
No, we won't,
can't.
because
We don't have to take a vote on that, do we? 'Cause
No.
I'm not really.
Yeah, right.
I'll vote no.
I consider that the highest compliment. Thank
you
you.
go.
My husband might not appreciate
He
it,
may not.
however.
Selectmen's comments. The comments and opinions expressed by individual members do not necessarily reflect the views of the Board of Selectmen and are the opinions or comments of only the individual member. Mr. Mullen.
Really something with me.
Yeah.
The only thing I just want to continue on the note that we were just on, and you know, like a lot of relationships you make with people, they're defined by events, and though we've had our fair share of events here in Rockland, the events that began to define my relationship with you, Marcy, it didn't happen 9 months ago or whatever the heck was happening, but you know, they began to be defined 3 years ago now when we came together to look at a 40-yard district in downtown. We came together to create this amazing thing, sometimes monster, called Reimagine Rockland. It's been our work with Soul Rockland. It's been our work with massive development on housing choice, on just helping Rockland people and helping our businesses, and I can really make an incredible friend along the way, and I can't emphasize that enough. But then last year happened, and we all know what happened, and I think for me, Larry and Mike, we got to know each other way more than we ever wanted to. And I know, especially with Mr. O'Loughlin, there are things about him that I wish I never knew. But anyways,
Ditto.
with regards to you, Marcy, though, you, like I thought I knew you before, and I thought I knew how strong you were, how tough you were, while at the same time, so caring. But 9 months ago, you began to show so many people like outside of the previous world you worked in here in town, what the Marcy Birmingham we know was all about. And like you frankly were a rock to me, and probably to every member of this board who were here at the time. Like we just navigated a lot of crap together, and we did it, I think, well. We did it with Rockland in mind, and we, as you mentioned, like Mr. Ryan mentioned, we are coming out stronger, and he really nailed it when he said, you're one of the best things that's happened to Rockland in a long time, but arguably you are the best thing that has happened to Rockland. And
It's a team effort.
no, seriously, Marcy, though. But
You hate every minute of this, huh?
There you go.
huh?
I said she hates every minute of this. but
How
keep
about
going,
absolutely.
Mike.
How
You're doing
about
great.
those
You're doing
cheerleaders?
great.
A little
You're doing
uncomfortable
great.
over there.
How about
You're doing
those
great.
Rockland High School cheerleaders who just
Come
won
here.
the big
No.
competition?
Mike's doing great. Keep going.
Yeah,
Mike.
but I mean, yeah, that was in the news. This isn't going to be in the news, and but it should be, and because you've showed what public service is all about too. So I could go on forever, and I promise I won't. But
Please don't.
yes, no, I won't.
No, I appreciate it,
I
Mike,
promise
very
you.
much.
But I just
know
want to,
that.
I'll really thank you, and on behalf
so
of my
welcome.
family too, for actually keeping me calm too. My wife really appreciates you as well. So thank you, Marcy.
Well, Rob got the brunt of it from me, so
Mr. Penny.
you're very welcome.
So I came in a little late on this. What happened with the town over the summer? I got to know Marcy a little bit back then, in about 5 months ago, when me and Kara got elected. I got to work with her day to day, and I got to see firsthand the comments that were made to me all the time by the members of the Board of Selectmen. There's a few things that kind of stick out to me. The dedication, her integrity, and her perseverance. She's leaving this Friday. My guess is she is taking a vacation. My guess is right after the vacation, I have a feeling that she's going to continue to do things for the town of Rockland, because that's the type of person that she is. And that's probably the greatest compliment I could give. She puts everyone else in front of herself, and that's the thing that I've got to know in this short period of time. So I want to say thank you.
You're all very kind. Someone else will have to write the minutes for this section of the meeting, because I won't be able to bring myself to do it. You're very welcome. Thank you.
And one of the things, I do have my office hours this Thursday at 9 a.m. At the senior center. I've had the same person 3 straight months. Nothing wrong with that, but I would like to see some other people.
Thank you. Kara?
Well, Marcy, I think everyone did a great job kind of summarizing what you have been to the town of Rockland and the type of person you have been to the entire board. I know from day one when I got elected, you were here election night with open arms and welcoming me to the town of Rockland and the town hall, and I just want to say thank you for that. You've been a friend and a mentor, and very proud to get to know you, and I wish we could have worked together a lot longer.
I do too, Kara. And I'm delighted that you and Rich are elected to the board. This is a great new board. You guys are going to take the town in a wonderful direction.
I'm sure this isn't the last you'll be hearing from us.
No, and I do plan to stay in touch and continue to help out, or I won't know what to do with myself. I'm going from 60 to 0 here shortly.
But I also Also, on another note, I just want to recognize, most of you know my family holds an annual St. Patrick's Day party. We give out scholarships to graduating high school seniors in Hanover, Rockland, and Norwell in memory of my father, Bob Nyman, who was a state representative here for the town of Rockland for many years. I just want to acknowledge the 2 seniors from Rockland who were awarded that scholarship. Alexa Colstring was one of them, and Morgan Wallstrom. So I just want to recognize them and congratulate them for being awarded the Robert J. Nyman Scholarship Fund this year. And I'd also like to thank my colleague Mike Mullen and Jill Maroney from the school committee for being present to give those awards out as well.
Mr. O'Loughlin.
So, Mike Mullen usually says or does whatever I was going to say. In this case, it was Rich Penny. I was going to have my office hours on Thursday at 9 o'clock here in Town Hall. So
You can do that.
Well, you're down there. It's no sense. We'll probably get the same resident.
Exactly.
So I'll just schedule mine for next week. But
I had mine scheduled for 4 months.
yeah, I know. I should have checked the calendar. I don't know where to start with Marcy. It's. I know you don't want to hear it. I know that you're completely mortified in this moment, but
Should have called in sick.
you were always my first choice for that position.
Going back to this.
No, and she is still. Oh, okay, and she is still my first choice for that position. You were exactly what Rockland needed. I think every time we talked, you started most of your conversations with, "Sorry, I didn't answer. I was on the phone with Mike Mullen." But every time,
I'm not getting in the middle of this brotherhood.
every time we talked, I would tell you, I would reiterate, the sole goal of that office is to be there for the residents, and every time a resident came to you, you went above and beyond. Every time the town hall staff members that, whether they answered to you or not, came to you, you went above and beyond. You really, you wore your heart on your sleeve, and you did everything you could for every single one of us, and there is no debt big enough that we can repay you for what you've done. You took us out of a place, a really dark place, and it could have only been you. So for that, I'll always be appreciative of you, Marcy. Thank you.
That's like a love story.
It's it. The light at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel's name was Marcy.
Larry and I just talked about fishing
There you
at
go.
Lake Dunmore.
And I'm going to talk about
Why don't you give out her address again?
257. Graduated 3 more Eagle Scouts. They should be very proud of themselves. Stephen Ivel, Justin Bowman, Adam Russo. 257 is a great scout organization. They bring their boys and probably their women from the beginning right straight through to the top awards, and they turn out an awful lot of Eagle Scouts, which is a really good thing. I have to say congratulations to the Methuen hockey team. My son Tom teaches up there, and he made the Jumbotron.
I saw that.
So it was on, he was in the Jumbotron Ravens, so I told him I'd give him a plug tonight. And Marcy, thank you forever and ever and ever.
You're
And
so welcome.
we know where you live, and you have a lake next door, so it freezes over in the winter,
it
and I'll be
does.
ice fishing, so
It does.
we'll come up and do that for sure, you
There'll
know.
be no quorum
And I'm sure that you're
violations.
not going to be a complete stranger as you have family in the town.
I do. I will be back to visit. My mom and my sister also live in Rockland. I have another sister in Weymouth and one in East Bridgewater, so
I'm sure you'll
I'll
probably
pop
be
up
willing.
now and then.
I'll be sure you're willing to come back probably by Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Who
If
you
Rob's new
kidding?
job
Her cell phone number will be changed next week.
Exactly.
if Rob's new job doesn't work out, you'll have to find some spot for me here back
There you
in
go.
the
It's
town
Always
hall.
open. Always open.
Door will always be open. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we were going to have executive session, but that's been canceled. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I got a motion and a second by Ms. Nyman to adjourn. All in favor, Mr. Mullen?
Yes.
Ms. Nyman?
Yes.
Mr. Penny?
Yes.
Mr. O'Loughlin?
Yes.
And Mr. Ryan, yes also. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.